To understand this concept, again, we said, how is that believable? The same belief that help us to understand bi'atha in general. In Allah yab'athu man fil qubur, the one who will resurrect people and mankind on their graves, the same power have this ability to promise the coming and the resurrection of certain individuals. And one of the people, according to ahadith and tradition, will be Salman. So my topic will be to look at Salman as an example, because usually when we talk about Ahlul Bayt in general, always people say they were infallible. They were individuals that were errorless, protected by God. In that sense, that is not possible for us to compare ourselves with the Imam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not limit us to examples when it comes to infallibles. Of course, there are examples, but we have more examples such as the individuals like Salman. He's known as Salman al-Farisi. So we have one of the 313 will be Salman. And why Salman? Because there are lessons that we can learn from him, even that is relevant to the time that we live in. It's very, very practical. Especially a tradition mentioned at the one of the books by Shaykh Saduq is Amali. Amali of Shaykh Saduq is a well-known narrator of hadith, and one of the well-known books that among Shia scholars and theologian is Amali of Shaykh Saduq. In his book, there is a tradition that one of the companion of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, which was from Iraq, was from Kufa, he came to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and asked a question about Salman. And the reason he asked this question was that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, not only Imam Sadiq, other Ahlul Bayt as well, they used to talk about Salman a lot. They used to reference to him a lot. So it shows that an Imam talking about an infallible as a model. So it is not something we do. Even an Imam himself, as a divine leader, he talks about about a fallible human being who was worthy of being considered a role model and an example. The same way we see Imam Ali talks about Abadar. We see people like Imam Mahmud reference about Miqdad, Ammar Yasir. So these individuals, in their own way, they are people that the Imam admire their personality, their character, and encourage other Shias to look at them and look at them as an example. So they are not Imams, they're not infallible, so it is much more reasonable for us to consider them as a more relevant, more probably someone that we can associate with them much easier. So it will be one less excuse to say, no, we cannot be a very, very devoted person because, only Imams and Prophet are devoted and anyone else, we're fallible and we do what we do, is basically swing and misses. We try, there are a lot of mistakes. It's not more expectation from us. So we have that this man came, this companion of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam came and asked this question and said, Ya ibn Rasulullah, why you talk a lot about Salman? And he said, Salman al-Farisi. So there's so much reference, so much reminders about Salman al-Farisi. So the first thing Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said was, do not call him Salman al-Farisi. Call him Salman al-Muhammadi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Imam corrected the way he addressed Salman. Muhammadi means the one who's an affinity of the Prophet, associated with him. Usually in sense of having last name or having titles, that ya is being added when you're associated with them. A lot of last name in some certain languages are like that. Huseinis are a lot of Sayyid that come from the descendant of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, right? Naqawis are from the descendant of Imam Ali al-Naqi in many cases. Some people, they just like the last name, right? But at the same time, we see that Imam corrected him. Why? There could be a couple of explanations. One of them could be that Imam maybe detected that sense of culturalism and maybe prejudice in the word of his companion. That Imam using that word, that the companion using Farsi as kind of this inclination, insinuating that, he's not even Arab. He's Farsi, he's from Fars, he's from Persia. Why you're talking so much about him? So fixing that with saying that, he is related to Prophet. And that's the way you should remember him. And that's the way you should call him. Because what makes him unique is not where he came from and the culture. It was his affiliation with the Prophet. As the Prophet he himself said, he is Salmanu minna ahlul bayt. He is he's part of the family. And the tradition about, a very long tradition about his story, that he said how he eventually was, his journey from being part of a family who worshiped different gods and different religion, finding his way to Prophet and eventually, becoming one of the closest companions of the Prophet, devoted to the message of Islam. And we have the part of that tradition, he says that from the young age, he felt this hole in his life. That there is someone that he's looking for, this missing beloved, that in poetry we talk about this missing love. Said he wasn't able to satisfy that thirst. He wasn't able to fill that gap until he saw the Prophet. And the moment he get to know who he is, that was the moment it changed his life. And he said there was no moment in my life that I felt more content than the moment I was introduced to the Prophet. So he is a man that not only Prophet, Ali ibn Abi Talib, even go all the way to Imam of our time talks about him, goes back to him. He's one of the Salihin, by the way. He's one of those who will be the inheritors of the earth based on the tradition. Because it will not be just to only talk about righteous people at the end of the time who get lucky to be born at the time that the Imam Mahdi will return in the Zuhur. The fairness and the justice of God is that people who did not get that chance because of the tyrants like Ashabul Kahf, like Salman, or because of whatever external factor forced them to don't actualize the potential they have as a mu'min, as a salih, to miss that era of absolute prosperity of Iman. Allah is much more just to let these people miss that era, which is the zuhur. And we have in dua ahad, right? In every morning that is being recommended to recite, that Allah promised that if you are a devotee to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if you were on the right track of the following of your Imam, you will be resurrected from your grave as one of the followers of the Imam, right? Shahiran sayfi. With your kafan you will be resurrected. This is a promise. And that's based on Allah's justice system that it makes sense. Yes, maybe with a lot of materialistic mentality that we have, how is that possible? But if anybody who have that question, how is that possible? And we have individuals who will make fun of this, accuse it of being not proper. And unfortunately, some Muslims, so-called Muslims, will make fun of this. Individuals will make fun of the idea of the Imam being born more than 1,000 years ago and is still being living. And they mock that, the Shias believe their Imam is in a cave or has been born and he's been alive for 1,000 years. And you say, what kind of a Muslim you are that for you is that ridiculous to believe of a human being by the grace of God to be able to live 1,000 years? Didn't you read Quran and about Prophet Nuh alayhi salam? You believe in that, and when it comes to Mahdi, is that difficult for you to digest it? If you didn't believe in Quran, that's a different story. If you don't believe the power of God, and when it comes to so many examples of that in Quran, that a baby Jesus is able to speak and a bassinet, that's very difficult for you to digest when you believe in that. And the same applies then when you believe in Qiyamah. When I believe in the day of judgment, resurrection, when I believe in all that, is that difficult to believe the raj'ah, the return of certain individual in the time of Dhuhr of the Imam? When we believe in Qiyamah, how is that difficult? Unless you don't believe in anything but what you can touch and feel and sense. If you are somebody who your understanding of the world that you live in is limited to your perception of what we have, these pretty much physical ways of perceiving things, then there's a different story. We don't have much in common to debate if you don't believe in metaphysics. If all you believe is in physical. I mean, truly, we're talking two different languages. It's not that easy to debate metaphysics with physics. But if you believe in it, that will be easier to perceive. Once we know the source of that is Imam. The source of that promise, that source of that tradition is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As a believer, that I believe in something more than the physical world, then that word would be enough as an evidence for me to believe in something. So about Salman individually, Imam corrected his statement, said, don't call him Farsi. So just make sure you understand that the reason Salman became Salman has nothing to do where he came from. It was his association and affiliation with the Prophet. Call him Muhammadi. So that is a lesson when it comes to this clash of culture and faith. It is easy to say priority goes to faith, but this is just one of the examples how not only Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, every single Imam, when it comes to the moment that there is this resistance, this conflict between faith and culture. They didn't reject culture, absolutely. They didn't want the faith to be something to kill culture in any way, but there was this sense of balance that always faith is the way you identify yourself before your culture. That's the reason the culture of the Salman is Farsi. That's where the culture came from. But his faith has that superiority over culture. And imagine if we have that in our centers, how different we will manage our centers. How different we will hold our program. How everything will be different. So between these two. But culture could be very useful. We have so many examples of cultures use the poetries we have in different languages, right? We have all these different ways of expressing our love and knowledge to people who don't have the, ability to speak Arabic. The culture is able to inspire people, help people, encourage people, bridge that gap. This is the power of culture. Salman is an example. What we have at the time of Salman, there were people from Fars, from Persia, that they didn't speak Arabic, but they wanted to understand Quran, so they were looking for a translation of Quran in Persian. So Salman himself personally translated some parts of Quran to Persian for people to learn. That's the way he's taking advantage of the cultural roots that he had. But it is a lesson from this point, this answer of Imam Sadiq to his companion regarding Salman, that how we look at culture and religion as well. That priority must go to faith if there is a moment that we have to choose. What we identify ourselves is very important. It's not only, we're talking about immigrants, we're talking about even as a culture that we were born into, Western culture. That's another culture, right? There's going to be a moment, there's going to be clash between these two. I can tell you how many cultural issues that unfortunately is dominant over faith. Unfortunately. I just give one hint, one example. In case of marriage, culture is pretty much still in many different countries who are Muslim by faith. Unfortunately, is the overarching power and decision making. For example, Sayyid only have to marry Sayyid. Is that religion? No. What is it? Culture. That's it. Who's the one winning usually? I know so many examples that people were not able to initiate going for proposal or getting rejected only because of Sayyid and non-Sayyid. When we see that the mother of Abul Fadl Abbas alayhi salam is not Sayyid, Ummul Banin salamullah alayha. The mother of all Imams after Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Means even the Imam of our time are not Sayyids. They're not even Arab. But which one is winning? Culture. There are exceptions, alhamdulillah, people who they understand the importance of faith and they get the advice and hopefully they consult and they get the right way. But there are individuals who said, no, we've been doing it this for the last few generations. We never married outside Sayyid. Another example, again, depend on the culture. Some of you may never heard of, but alhamdulillah, years of experience with working with all different cultures. I can tell you things I didn't know and I learned. And I try to be, sensitive about the cultural differences. But when it comes to how much loyalty, how much devotion people have to some of these cultural, very, very unique cultural practices, it's mind-boggling to me that I wish people have this amount of devotion to their own faith. Another example is that as long as the elder children are not married, you cannot marry the youngest one. It's like that there is somehow a line that you have to wait for your turn. And you say it doesn't matter, but this person have the opportunity to get married. They found the right person, why they should wait? No, it is the way we've been doing it. Talking. Even till today, people, no, we're so religious, we don't let bride and the groom to talk to each other until the night of the wedding. Why? Which part of Allah said they cannot see each other? Why? Blindly getting to a relationship, culture. Culture is the dominating force in these cases. And now we can apply it to a lot of other practices we've been having. So it is important to learn this lesson number 1 from Salman. And then Imam alayhi salam explained, so first don't address him that way. This is who he was. Identify him with this quality. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. Remember the brotherhood. Don't let this sense of, that you feel that your culture is superior to the other cultures. Don't let that take over. As Prophet, very, very, I think straightforward, he mentioned this to Abu Dhar, that Abu Dhar, Allah does not look at the color of your skin. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَىٰ صُوَرِكُمْ. Doesn't look at your skin, your facial features. He doesn't care about any of that. وَلَا إِلَىٰ أَمْوَالِكُمْ. He doesn't look at your wealth and your bank account. But وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَىٰ قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. What Allah will look at is your hearts and your deeds. That's all that matters. But to come and believe in this in a statement, in practice, and implement in our lives, I believe from theory to actual implementation, we have a lot of disparity, unfortunately. And usually we see that becomes the main cause. It is sad that we see in LA, I know Shia and Sunni centers. They went to lawsuit against each other, usually cultural. I know a couple of them myself. There were a community of Muslim coming together, Shia and Sunni. I have both examples. But one culture, they said, we're the one want to run it this way. The other resisted, and eventually they end up going to court for some reason. This is the destructive force of culture if you let it to be that way. As it could be very constructive as well. We're not culture bashing, we're saying about the wrong and unfortunately this false perception that everything cultural is good. This false perception. So, then Imam Shaikh answers that why I talk about Salman often. The reason I mention Salman a lot to you and my followers is because of 3 reasons. His 3 criteria and qualities. This will be, inshallah, an action plan for us. Look at Salman, what he had, that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam used them as a reference, and that would be a good way for us to use as a reference in our own lives. If we have it, alhamdulillah, try to, empower ourselves, increase the strength of those features. If we have them missing, sooner the better try to establish them and work on them in our lives. Because that is the way. That is the way to be the muntadhir and to be a waiter and a follower of the Imam. One thing about Salman is so unique, has been said, is amazing, the details, is that when Salman used to walk with Imam Ali alayhi salam, but we have in tradition that after they would walk, let's say in a certain path and road, there was only 1 footprint, not 2 footprints. 1 footprint. And then we have one day Imam Ali alayhi salam saw Salman is trying to exactly place his foot exactly on the same place that the Imam Ali's footprint was. Said, Salman, what are you doing? Why are you trying to do this? Said, Ya Ali, because my plan is to follow you exactly. You're the model that I want to follow. That's the reason. Even in the way you walk, I want to follow you. He recognized the power of infallible, the advice of infallible. So this is a person that Imam Sallallahu said, this person is worthy to be mentioned. Because he's an example of being Shia. This is not a blind follower. Again, don't forget this. He's a man who's pretty much explored Persia, went to Syria, explored Christianity, explored Zoroastrianism. He saw all he could have seen in his time. So he's not a blind follower. He's a man of knowledge himself. You can easily see in his own words how bright this person was. So when I say he followed Ali ibn Abi Talib in footprint, don't take it as sheep following, God forbid, blindly. Understand that the meaning of submission. Submission. That once you know this is right, this is what I have to do, then you're committed to that cause. Then you're submitted to that cause. Everybody knows they have to wake up early. Everybody know, hard work pays off. Everybody knows they have to study hard to get good grades. Everybody knows, but not everybody is submitted and devoted and committed to that cause. Not everybody is. And that's true, right? We can agree on that everybody knows that to success there's a criteria, there's a sacrifice you have to make. And you have to choose what sacrifice you want to make. Life doesn't come without sacrifice. Even in business, pretty much every young person, if you ask them, thanks to the internet, they know that. That a lot of these famous CEOs, they wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., they start their day very early. And I don't want to, promote them, but it is important to know that even in a matter of dunya, even success of dunya, there is work. And when it comes to spirituality and taqwa and piety, we think is going to come miraculously for free. There is work required. Like everything else, there is a path, there is a set of criteria, qualification, practices that is needed. That's it. The rules are very, very similar. That's the reason even in the Quran, Allah uses very similar metaphors when it comes to tijarat, which means business, right? Let's talk business. Even Quran understand that it's very, 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 very similar even to talk about akhirah, hereafter, spiritual world, metaphysic. Let's talk about that. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you want to even talk about akhirah, it's a tijara, it's a business with God. Let's talk business too. You pay something, you gain something. In the matter of, the relationship with God, it's very, very similar. The only difference is when you do business with God, it's like one of those philanthropists who do business not for the sake of profit because they want to help people. His cause is a very philanthropist cause. You do business with God, He doesn't gain anything out of that relationship. Whatever He does for us is fadl, bounty and mercy. That's a relationship, that's a business. But one thing we cannot deny is that work is required. So what are the three characteristics and qualities that Imam Sadiq said Salman had that made him worthy to be introduced as a model, as an example? And he will be one of those who return, one of the 313. Number one, Imam alayhi salam said, إِثَارُهُ لِهَوَى, his sacrifice over his low desires, when you look at the Ali ibn Abi Talib as a model. See, he would sacrifice his low desires over looking at Ali ibn Abi Talib, how he would treat his desire. That was his Imam, right? Salman's Imam after the Prophet. So Prophet was his Imam, his Prophet. After the Prophet, Ali ibn Abi Talib was the one. And we have that the one quality and characteristics of Salman was that he was not controlled by his low desires. Hawa means low and value. Whatever is not very valuable is pretty much insignificant. That's what hawa is. Ithar means sacrifice. Means you'll be able to get rid of them, control them. And whenever you are in that matter, okay, should I consider this a low desire or not? Ali ibn Abi Talib was to tell you what is low desire and what is not low desire. This is, again, I encourage you to think about this. Quality number one is his control over his desires, his low desires. What are the low desires? In tradition, in Quran, Allah mentioned the low desires. The low desires, number one, is lust, shahwa. There's lust, it could be, when it comes to the eyes, your look, your gaze. When it comes to stomach, what we eat, what we consume. It could be all these, even relationship, what we desire to have, even our interaction with others. And when it comes to dunya, what we want to possess and own or not. These are desires. And they're low because none of them are long-lasting. None of them. Every appetite that has a decay, graph. Sexual desire has its own life. Eventually it has that decay. Even this love for possession and dunya, eventually with death, there's nothing, none of that could help us. When it comes to even gaze and look, it's the same thing. None of them are lasting or fulfilling. It's not like that when you have a lot of money, you will say, okay, I have enough. It's not going to be satisfactory if you're looking for satisfaction and ownership. It won't. It doesn't have that sense of content. So what is the only true solution? Our control over the desire. And Quran mentioned that. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. If you want change, Allah will not change the fate of any people. Allah will not make them miserable. Allah will not take away His mercy from them. Allah will not give them something good unless they start to change themselves. And low desires is something we have to change them. Ramadan, which is coming, is a practice of controlling the low desires. What you eat, even when it comes to all the appetite, pretty much they're under control. When it comes to the stomach, there's the eating and drinking prohibition. When it comes to what you say, there's the prohibition of, saying something, attributing something to God or Prophet that is not true, right? Accusing them of something that they didn't say. So there is that limitation, that self-control when it comes to the stomach, when it comes to the private parts, and when it comes to even to the tongue. Everything has that control practice. And Imam Shaikh said that's what makes Salman Salman. Goes to the action part. We have to start to be in charge of the desire, especially lowly desires. I cannot watch whatever I want. I can, but I should not. I must not, because then I will not be able to grow. I cannot eat whatever I want. I cannot want, that is desire. I should have that filter over what I want. I should be the filter. I should be in charge. That there is a filter that I pass, okay, this is what I have to eat, this is what I have to watch, this is what I have to listen. But if there is no filter, whatever comes, first come, first serve, whatever happened, that sense of becoming Salman is not going to happen. Opposite of that will happen, by the way. The Muawiyahs are going to grow. That sense of dunya will be the one that we empower. So that's number one, quality. Imam Sallallahu said, his ability to control his lowly desires, his sacrifice of his lowly desires for the greater cause, for the greatest purpose. And in that ideology, he had a model, and was Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali ibn Abi Talib. Why Ali ibn Abi Talib? That was his Imam. For us, it could be example as well. Our Imam and the Imam Ali alayhi salam, the 12 infallibles are great examples. Because they had everything that we want to have. They had powers, they had beauty, they had knowledge, they had wisdom, they had power. What do we want that they didn't have? But we see they're still in charge. But a human being, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ طَغَى أَرْرَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. Our rebellious stage, even against God, starts when we feel that we are untouchable, when we don't need anything or anyone. That is the moment we rebel against God. With our vulnerability and recognition of vulnerabilities and weaknesses, that's the moment that we understand that we are not the center of the universe that we live in. There's more to our world than just the self. That's number one. Number two, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, Salman hubbuhu lil fuqara wa intikhabuhum iyahum ala thirwati wal adad. The second quality of Salman was his love for poor. Fuqara. He loved poor. And he chose them, intikhab, this selection, he chose fuqara and poor over the wealthy, thirwa, over wealthy. Wal adad, and even number. In another word, majority. That for him it wasn't matter, because everyone is doing this. Adad means number. And Arabs used to boast about the number of tribes. So, we have more people. Even as Quran said, they will count their graves and said, we have more graves, as a way to show off. Hatta zurtumul maqabir. This takathur, this care for numbers, is alhaakum at-takathur. It's a curse that they were stuck in this mentality of numbers. So Salman was not the one, as Imam Sadiq said. The second quality was he chose fuqara and poor over the numbers. If everybody preferred not to be with fuqara, he would choose to be with fuqara. Because sometimes we're with fuqara because it become a trend. When it's a trending, everybody do certain thing. But in this case, he was with fuqara, when majority, they choose their own path. When nobody care about them, right? That is the issue. Not that there's no value in people trending good causes, it's perfectly fine. But if only we care about certain good causes when there is a spotlight on it, then we didn't choose, the majority chose it for us, right? Today is an international this day, and we care about them just for this day. We're going to post, a Snapchat or something for this day, and that's it. It's like that tomorrow we eradicated the entire problem. It's like Mother's Day and Father's Day, which is perfectly good. I'm not against them. But in some people's mind, it is today's is Father's Day. Let's do what everybody do, right? Let's do what everybody does. Let's go get some flowers, bouquet of flowers, take a Snapchat or Instagram. Happy Mother's Day, the best father in the world, the best mom in the world. Where are you tomorrow? Giving you a call, I'm busy, sorry. Yesterday was Father's Day. Not everybody's like this. Again, this is a perception of some of the individuals in our time, which is a reality. Nobody can deny it. But hubbul fuqara, this love for the poor people, is that idea of going to the ayah I recited regarding the Imam of our time, Salihin. Who are the inheritors of the earth? Who are the people come at the end of the time? Who will be the people finally will be in position of leadership and Imams? Salihin. Reformers, the one who fixed the problem. And one of the biggest problems in the world is faqr, poverty. No one can deny that. You can't talk about any other problem, but the biggest and most important problem in the world is poverty. Because many other crimes are rooted in poverty. Lack of the proper education, lack of access to proper health, proper education, all of that come from poverty. That's the reason Imam Ali alayhi salam said, and as Prophet also said, Al-faqru ayyakada kufra. Poverty could lead and cause kufr, disbelief. And that's Imam Ali alayhi salam in the time of his khilafah, one of his major focuses was to eradicate poverty. And even advise his governors to do the same thing, that you have to care for the people's livelihood, how they're going to pay for the expenses of their families. How? You cannot say it's not your problem. If you let that to be ignored, their faith also will be impacted as well. There is no surprise for me that right now one of the greatest way that anybody wants to influence anything, what is the best way you do? The chokehold is economy. That's the way. Get the economy, cause some form of poverty, people's faith, ideals, values, principles is going to leave eventually out the door. It's not that easy. Everybody is going to be persistent and have muqawimah. But Abu Abdullah Hussein, 72 people stayed. Pressure is not that easy. Face difficulties is not simple. And you can't expect everybody to graduate from that test and that tribulation. So that is the second one. To love for the poor. Because this mentality, some people said, if you want to change, you have to be with powerful people. Sit with the rich, they have the resources, and then you can help the poor. But what happens eventually, this sense of elitism takes over. Oh, we're the elite. We are the one, and we look from above, everybody's on there. And this happened to a lot of individuals. In the name of helping poor and needy, they eventually try their best to climb the ladder of elitism, and when they get into power, now they have to maintain that status. Is not simple. You have to pay for it. One of the recent, we have to talk about more contemporary issues. Notre Dame fire. How much money was collected in a matter of a few days? More than $1 billion. More than $1 billion was donated by rich families in France, outside France. And one of the biggest complaints was when actually UN, they held this panel for famine in Yemen. In Yemen, about actual lives being in jeopardy. And this is not a Muslim country saying, oh, they're dying. UN, they said, okay, not one or two, thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are on the brink of death over famine. With all the promises, around 2-point-something billion was collected. The goal was 6 billion. This is that sense of elitism. Hubbul fuqara is that Islam and Reformation is you care for the others. Some say, we do our best, whatever is extra, we have our meal, whatever is left over, we give it to poor people. That was not Salman, by the way. That was not Salman. He's a student of Ali ibn Abi Talib and the Prophet. That's the reason when he came to Madain to be the governor of Madain, he came on a donkey. Nobody recognized him. Even somebody thought that he's a labor worker, asked him to carry something for him, and he did. And later on said, oh, by the way, this is a new governor, let's introduce you to Salman. Oh, he is Salman? Because what Muawiyah trained people, perception was, when somebody come, you have to have this big escort with them. Everybody have to come. They have to stand in lines. That's the way a governor is being escorted. That was not Salman. Even till the point he became the governor. In the time of the occultation, this is one question. Hubbul fuqara. Start with the community. Don't look at every person as a ladder. Oh, let's talk. Let me make some networking. That guy has some guys in the higher places. I can make a contact. He can introduce me. She can introduce me. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with communication, introducing people, helping people. But your perception of people should not be just based on that. Just sit with somebody for the sake of being a person, a human being, a Muslim, a fellow person sitting. A sister that can hear me, my sisters, one of the greatest problems we have is that people don't talk to each other when they don't know each other. And usually, again, the burden are on the one who are already members of a community, not the newcomer. I can't really push the person who's just came to the majlis, go and be the one, introduce yourself. They are the stranger, they're the one who just came, but you were here for a while. You are basically a member of this community for a while. You already know the place. You should be the one going to the new person. Assalamu alaikum, how are you doing? Welcome. Glad to see you. Without introducing to, being intrusive to their privacy and asking weird questions in the first day. Oh, how much money, by the way, you make? Without making him uncomfortable, you can introduce him. How are you doing? How far do you live from here? Glad to have you. This is the program we have. Come join us for the dinner at the time of eating. Let's sit together. This idea of circles, it's what is one of the, unfortunately, the issues of our centers. Everybody said with the people we know. Faqir is not just poor of the money of somebody who's homeless. Somebody who have, or faqir, for example, they don't have the social skills. They're faqir, they're poor, they don't know how to talk to people. Maybe you have to approach them. Maybe somebody, again, they're just immigrated, just moved here. They don't have something that you have. Care for them. And that's what Salman did. And lastly, I finished with the third one. So that was the second quality of Salman, Imam Sadiq said. That he loved poor people, he chose them over the wealthy. Don't go to the sense of elitism. That is the destruction of faith. A lot of deviance in our religion and in many religions, not only Islam, every religion, happened because of the wealthy and elites. We're not communists, by the way. We're not saying attack rich people and take what they have. But I'm saying the ground for corruption and deviance in faith, the seed of deviance usually grow easier on the land of the wealthy. Because for the poor, they don't have much to support the cause. For wealthy, they have the money to support that cause. If you want examples of that, inshallah, another time, I can give you a list of them. Name me a country and I tell you the example. New form of interpretation of Quran and faith and religion, the whole thing, among Sunnis, among Shias, among Christians, among Jews, among everyone. A new idea came up and they claim they are the right one. Who's backing it up? Usually someone wealthy and powerful. Usually. But there are a lot of wealthy, alhamdulillah, they follow the path of Sulaiman alayhi salam and they invest the money in the right way. They take advantage, are grateful for what Allah gave them, and at the same time does not go over their head to consider themselves powerful enough to even dictate their will over religion, because that's what happened. Sometimes wealth, it gives you this conviction. Oh, I have to change this for better. Let it work for me. That's exactly when we see bribery happens. Wealthy people start bribery because they want the law to work for them. As we see lobbying happen, Facebook just started last few years working in that because you want the law to work for you. That's the way the system works. You want the tax to be in your favor, you have to invest. It's not corruption, it's a legal way to do it. And less civilized societies is just giving directly money to the people with authority, right? Do the way the way I want, because my money can buy influence. Fuqara. And lastly, Imam Sadiq, the third quality and the last one, حُبُّهُ لِلْعِلْمِ وَالْعُلَمَاءِ. The third unique quality of Salman that make me to talk and admire him, and you introduce him as an example, is his love for ilm, knowledge, and people of knowledge. His love for learning. He was a man of knowledge himself, by the way. He was a scholar of knowledge of ilm himself, but he always was thirsty to learn. And the greatest obstacle between this quality and me and so many people is that we think we know everything. This false perception, this delusion, I know it. Thanks to the internet, there was a time that people, when they had questions in a matter, they used to go to an expert. That was the right way to do it. But thanks to the internet, now we're living in the land of opinions, not expert anymore. You have a question, you go on Quora, Reddit, I don't know what platform you use. You go there and you post a question and you get some answers. Who's the person answering? A lot of his opinions said, I think. There's I think at the beginning usually. Or in my opinion. And even including faith when it comes. That is not knowledge. The ultimate knowledge, again, we can acquire from education, but there's one type of knowledge, as Prophet said, وَيُعَلِّمُكُمْ مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ. Prophet taught you something that you couldn't learn. It was not something that you can learn in school. How did he teach you? After purification. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. This hikmah, this wisdom, is a knowledge that you cannot learn in school. It is something that after purification of soul happen. When you live a certain lifestyle of virtue, then eventually you start acquiring wisdom, insight that you wouldn't be able to find in any other way. That's the third criteria. May Allah inshallah give us the tawfiq to appreciate the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to follow and practice and practice and practice. Because ultimately when it comes to the Imam, the coming of the Imam, the love of the Imam is only tip of the iceberg to lead us toward practicing it. Why we love him? Because he practiced. We have that when Salman saw the Prophet for the first time, he fell and he started kissing Rasulullah's feet. And we have in another tradition that Prophet stopped him and helped him to stand up and said, "What are you doing? Don't treat me the way that people treat kings and tyrants." Because that was one of the ways that King of Persia, they expected their citizens to respect them, with falling on their feet and all that. So when it comes to our faith, we have to appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the message that we have. We love the Imam. And then the Prophet continued with saying, "Ana abdun min abid," of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am a servant of God. Of course, does not make him to be lowered in value and a status that he has as a prophet of God, as the best of creation. But his own description, he is Abdullah, as we say in Salat, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Salawat. So we recognize that they became someone that we have to love, we have to admire, we have to respect and honor them because of their devotion and submission to Allah. And if we want any association with them, any real connection with them, that real connection come from submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, come from our devotion to our faith and religion. May Allah inshallah give us that tawfiq, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the soul of Salman al-Muhammadi, and may Allah elevate his status and help us to look at him and the rest of the awliya Allah as an examples and role models, that they are relevant to our lives, that we can learn so many lessons from them and make us to be worthy of calling ourselves Shia and follower of the Imam al-Hujjah, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman, inshaAllah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the honor of the Imam of our time, for his immediate return and inshallah end of his occultation and hasten in his reappearance, please recite Surah Fatiha with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أفضل السلام محمد وآل محمد مدد कीजिए या इमाम ज़माना मदद कीजिए या इमाम ज़माना हटा दीजिए ग़ैबत का पर्दा खुदाया पर्दा खुदाया मदद कीजिए या इमाम ज़माना मदद कीजिए इमाम ज़माना बड़ी आफतें है ज़माने में मौला परेशान शिया है कहाँ जाए मौला पुकारा तुम्हें जब हुआ दिल जो मुज़तर पुकारा तुम्हें जब हुआ दिल जो मुज़तर मदद कीजिए या इमाम ज़माना मदद कीजिए या इमाम ज़माना बलाओं ने घेरा نہیں کوئی ساتھی، اندھیرا ہے ہر سو اداسی ہے چھائی، تمہارے قدم سے ہو دنیا منور، تمہارے قدم سے ہو دنیا منور، مدد کیجئے یا امام زمان، مدد کیجئے یا امام زمانہ، ہٹا دیجئے غیبت کا پردہ خدایا، پردہ خدایا، مدد کیجئے یا امام بور میں ہے کشتی بچانے کو آؤ، غم زندگی سے چھڑانے کو آؤ، محمد کی جاہ سفینے کے لنگر، محمد کی جاہ سفینے کے لنگر، مدد کیجئے یا امام زمانہ، مدد کیجئے یا امام، ہٹا دیجئے غیبت کا پردہ خدایا، پردہ خدایا، مدد کیجئے امام زمانہ، غنیغار ہوں اور شرمندہ مولا، اگر آپ پر ہے مجھ کو بھروسہ، کرو ہر بری سب برائے پیمبر، کرو رہبری اب برائے پیمبر، مدد کیجئے یا امام زمانہ، مدد کیجئے امام زمانہ، ہٹا دیجئے غیبت سے پردہ خدا، پردہ خدا را، مدد کیجئے یا امام، نہ ہمیں کربلا میں ہو جانا میسر، مدد کی جو مولا ہے دل کی یہ حسرت، زری ہے مقدس سے آنکھیں لگانا، زری ہے مبارک سے آنکھیں لگانا، مدد کیجئے یا امام زمانہ، مدد کیجئے یا امام زمانہ، ہٹا دیجئے غیبت کا پردہ خدا، پردہ خدا را، مدد کیجئے یا امام زمانہ، افضل السلام محمد وآل محمد،
أفضل السلام وعليك يا رسول الله محمد وآل محمد. اللہ مجھے لشکر مہدی سے ملا دے اللہ مجھے لشکر مہدی ملا دے ایسا نہ ہو آقا میرا حل من کی صدا دے اللہ مجھے نظروں کو میری لائق دیدار بنا دے پردہ جو پڑا ہے میری آنکھوں پہ ہٹا دے ہادی کے سواداروں پہ پر نور دکھا دے اللہ مجھے مہدی سے ملا دے اللہ لکھ دے میری تقدیر میں مولا کی غلامی حاصل مجھے ہو جائے اعجاز دوامی ہر خواہش دنیا کو میرے دل سے مٹا دے اللہ مجھے لشکر مہدی ملا دے اللہ مجھے شبیر کے انصار میں شامل ہو میرا نام جوہر کا ہو محشر میں وہی ہو میرا انجام خاک قدم حضرت شبیر بنا دے اللہ مجھے دی سے ملا دے اللہ دیکھوں اگر اٹھتے ہوئے پردہ غیبت آئیں گے جو میرے بعد یہاں حضرت حجت تربت میں ابد کوئی میرا شان ہلا دے اللہ مجھے لشکر مہدی سے ملا دے اللہ مجھے افضل السلام محمد وآل Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the entire community on this auspicious occasion of the celebration of the birth of our 12th Imam, Imam Mahdi Sahib al-Zaman, Najjarullah Ta'ala Farajat, may we all inshallah get the opportunity to visit the shrines of all of our holy Imams, inshallah. Congratulations to the entire community on this auspicious event, inshallah. A couple of quick announcements. We have some requests for Surah Fatiha, so if we can please recite Surah Fatiha for Marhuma Zahra Bai Lada, Marhum Hassan Ali Lada, Marhum Muhammad Dinani, and the family of the Dinani and the Pir Muhammad family, also Marhuma Sherbanu Jafar, and all of the marhumeens in our family. Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha. As you know, inshallah, after the program right now, we'll have our Maghribain prayers, and after the prayers, we'll have dinner, inshallah, to celebrate. And then after the dinner program, we are planning our hardest, inshallah, to keep to the schedule, that at 9 p.m., inshallah, we will have Amal program, inshallah. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just realized I forgot as well to recite another Fatiha. So also, I'm so sorry. Surah Fatiha for Marhum Kamal Karmali and Marhum Shabir Shirali. I apologize for forgetting that. Please, let's also remember that with Surah Fatiha. Remember them with Surah Fatiha as well. I apologize. Bismillah. Thank you, Ahsan. May Allah accept our du'as, inshallah. So we will, inshallah, after this program, we'll try to keep to the schedule as much as possible. By 9 p.m., we'll start the Amal of the 15th of Sha'ban. We ask if everybody can join us, inshallah. And the Amal is scheduled to be for about 90 minutes or so, inshallah. As you know, the month of Ramadan is coming upon us very quickly. And we have some very exciting programs to announce for the month of Ramadan. A lot of detail will be coming out shortly. But first, if anybody is interested in sponsoring any of the iftar nights, then please either see myself on the gents side or Sister Nasreen on the ladies side to sponsor the programs, inshallah. We have a good number of speakers lined up for the month of Ramadan. As I said, more details will follow soon, but we're inshallah planning, if you remember in our general meeting, we had talked about planning programs that are combining with other centers. So we're happy to announce that the Yasin Center and Huseini Center, inshallah, will do the month of Ramadan from the 15th night to the 30th night together, inshallah. We have a speaker, Sayyid Ali Khalkhali, that will be joining us, and we'll have a program every night from the 15th to the 30th, inshallah, every night at Husainiya. And we ask that everybody can please join in that program. It'll be much more rewarding, inshallah, if we can all be there. As I said, a lot more detail will come out soon. But for now, we want everybody to be aware that there will be a program, inshallah, every night starting from the 15th of Ramadan. With that, we'll end the program with ziyarat. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alayki ya Rasulullah. Assalamu alayki ya Khadijat al-Kubra. Assalamu alayki ya Ali al-Murtada. Assalamu alayki ya Fatimah al-Zahra. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى السلام عليك يا حسين الشهيد ومن الشهيد السلام عليك يا علي زين العابدين السلام عليك يا محمد باقر السلام عليك يا جعفر الصادق السلام عليك يا موسى الكاظم السلام عليك يا علي الرضا السلام عليك يا محمد تقي السلام عليك يا علي النقي السلام عليك يا حسن العسكري ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان الأمان 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 السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان السلام عليك إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان عجل الله لك ما وعدك من الناس وظهور الأمر ورحمة الله وبركاته بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كل وليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد أشهد أن علي ولي الله صلوات الله وسلامه أشهد أن مولانا أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه حي على الصلاة